Hello and welcome back. In the previous video, we went over a brief introduction into MongoDB, how to select a database, create a collection, and how to insert documents into any collection. In this video, let's actually practice doing that using MongoDB. First thing first, open the MongoDB console. You will need to go to Terminal. You can verify that MongoDB was installed. Then type mongod, M-O-N-G-O-D, to load the server. Once the server has been loaded, open a new window in the terminal. Type in mongo host localhost followed by the port number. So mongo host localhost port number 27017. Hit enter. And now MongoDB has been fully loaded. Also, if you did not download the software, you can visit the following link and a MongoDB terminal will be provided for you to use. Click on the link, open link, sometimes it takes a few seconds to load, but there it is. Everything has loaded, and now you can fully work with MongoDB within this terminal. This terminal is a very good platform to use. However, it can be frustrating because sometimes while you're working in the terminal, it will automatically cut off and you will need to reload everything. This is why I recommend you can use this free platform, but if you can download the MongoDB software, that is even better for you to use. Once the terminal is loaded, you can minimize that window, but then I would like to open MongoDB Compass. Let me see. Where is it? There it is. Once MongoDB Compass opens, again it will be connected to the same local host, port number 27017. This page will come up, localhost, port number will already be loaded. Do not change any of the information. Simply click Connect. And once you click Connect, you're able to see all of the databases that currently exist within your MongoDB system. The MongoDB Compass is basically an easy platform for employees to use within an organization who are not familiar with coding with MongoDB from scratch. It makes it easier for them to view information and change information within a database. Now let's begin working with MongoDB in the console, and after each command I will show you how the information is changed in MongoDB Compass. Let us begin. Here is the first database that we were looking at in Lecture 1. The first database was called Employees. Now let's use this Employees database. To recall, we can create a database called Employees, or we can simply type in use employees. If the collection does not exist, MongoDB will automatically create it for us. As you can see, it now says switch to DB database employees. Now let's insert documents into this database, and once we insert those documents, the database will become visual. And what I mean by that, we just created the database use employees, but if we use the command show database and hit enter, notice that only 3 will show up: admin, config, and local. The database employees does not show up because we have not inserted any information into the database. Only after we have inserted the first document, that is when the database will become visual in MongoDB. So let us insert our first piece of information. The first piece of information is for employee ID 1, name Jones, and the title was manager. Let's do this. To insert information, we simply type DB, the name of the database we're looking to insert, followed by open parentheses and brackets. The curly brackets is an indication that we are using JSON format. Type in the name of the field, employee ID, semicolon, 1, comma, name, Jones, comma, title, manager, IT manager. So this is the first piece of information we will insert, the first document we will insert into the employees database. After we insert this information, then the database will become visual. Let's take a look at that now. In MongoDB Compass, currently there's only 3 databases: admin, config, and local. Even if I refresh the system, there's still just these 3. Now let us insert the first piece of information. Hit enter, and we get a successful return saying N inserted 1. This means that our insert was inserted successfully. Now let us look at the databases in the system. Let us do show database, hit enter, and now the employees database is visual. We can see it because it has now been populated with information. Let us take a look in MongoDB Compass. Here's the first 3. Now if we click refresh, the employees database has now become visual to us. We can see the employee database. If you click on the employee database, which we know has 1 collection, if we click on the employees database, we will see the collection, employees. And here it is, employee ID 1, name Jones, title is the manager of IT. Now let us try to insert the rest of this information. Next, we will insert Did you see I made a small error there? After employee ID, I had a single quote, then 2, and then a double quote. Always pay attention to the punctuation, to the quotation, and to the syntax. Name, Smith. Title, payroll. Verify that everything is correct. We're inserting employee ID number 2. DB employees insert employee ID 2. Name Smith. Title payroll clerk. Hit enter. And again, that was successful. Let us do the final. Now, each time in MongoDB, you can go back to the previous demands you entered. If you hit the up arrow, you will see that the DB we just entered, the employee information for employee number 2 will reappear. We can go back and we can scroll to change the information. So for example, for employee number 2, now we want to edit this line for employee number 3. You simply go to one character before the value you're looking to change. So I'm looking to change number 2 to number 3. So I will go to one value ahead, one character ahead, which is at the quotation mark. Hit backspace and enter 3. And as you can see, the number 3 is entered in the proper form. Let's do the same thing for the name. So we're looking to change the name of Smith to employee 3, which is Green. So to one character ahead, we delete the information and we change it to Green. For title, this person's title is a supervisor, so we need to change payroll to supervisor. One character ahead, backspace to delete the current information, and enter the proper title. In this case, employee 3 belongs to Green and the title is supervisor. Hit enter and we are returned with a successful command. Now let's take a look at this information in MongoDB. Click refresh, and now within the employees collection we have 3 different documents. Click, and here are the 3 documents. First, for Jones, manager of IT. Second, Smith, a payroll clerk. And third, Green, a supervisor. If you click on table, you're able to see this information set up in a table format. It's a little more clearer to read. Let's try another. Now that we have populated our database, let's retrieve the information and view it within the MongoDB console. So to view the information, just like we did in MongoDB Compass, we did not have to type any code. And that is the beauty of MongoDB. It provides you with MongoDB Compass, It provides you with an easy interface to use, especially for employees who do not have any type of background in computer science or in technology. Now let's go ahead and hard type the code in the MongoDB console so we can view the information like we did in MongoDB Compass. First, type in DB and the name of the collection. The name of our collection was employees. And I'm following the example right here from the slide from lecture number 1 on slide number 6. We're going to type DB period the collection name period find employees period find parentheses, hit enter, and here you go. Here is the return. Sometimes it's a little bulky to read. So here's the return. We have the ID, we have the automatic ID that was created, and then we have the fields that we entered. We entered a field called employee ID, name, and title. We have 3 different employees belonging to Joan, Smith, and Green, who is a manager of IT, a payroll clerk, and a supervisor. This is one way to outprint this information. Here's another way. We can press up and we can go back to db.employees.find, but we can also type period for each print JSON. Here you go, and this is what I'm typing now. I'm doing db.collectionName period find parentheses period for each JSON, print JSON, hit enter, and the same exact information that we retrieved previously, By adding the for each print JSON, we're able to print the exact information and information that is presented to us in a better format, an easier format for us to read. Let us continue. Also, we went over an example of how to insert bulk information at a time. We can create a variable, and we can insert the variable to add more than one document at a time. So let us create that variable now. Var, the name of the variable was my employee. Var is equal to. We are inserting a document, an array of more than one document at a time. Therefore, this information must be in square brackets. After square brackets, each document has to be in its own curly brackets. So let's do employee, employee ID, employee number 4, and this is what I'm following. We're going to add employee number 4, 5, and 6. So we're at employee number 4. Oh, I made an error. Do you see my error there? My error was I typed in employee number 4, but I forgot the quotation mark. And this is why it's very important also to verify or to pay attention to your code before you hit enter. So let's do this together. Instead of us typing codes, being that this is a big beginner course, instead of us trying to type the code in the console live, open a text file. If you're using Mac or Windows, open a text file. Text edit. New. And let's first type the code inside of a text file. And after we've typed the code and we've verified that all of the information is correct, then we can copy the code and paste it into the console all at once. And this is a good way to practice your code with whatever language you're working with. Try to type it first in some type of text editor and then paste it into the console. So instead of you typing line by line and then having multiple lines of code and not realizing that you made an error and then hit an enter, you're going to have to go ahead and retype everything. So it's best practice to do it first in a text editor and then copy the code and paste it into the console. Let us begin. Var my employee var is equal to brackets, curly brackets, employee ID 4. Name Lawson. Wow, I'm making a lot of errors there. Excuse that, please. Lawson. Title. Clerk. So here's the code for the 4th employee. The employee ID, every single field is within quotations. And then the field values, some are within quotations and some are not. For example, a numeric value does not have to be within quotations. So we have employee ID, name, and title. Employee ID is 4, the name is Lawson, the title is clerk. And this is all of the information we're looking to enter for this document. Therefore, we had the open curly bracket. Now we close the document with the closed curly bracket separated by a comma. Then we could hit enter and we can begin with employee number 5. And to save us some time, let us copy this code from bracket to bracket, copy the code, go beneath and paste the code. And this way we can just change the field values. We can change the employee ID to be 5. we can change the name Lawson to Nielsen, and we can change the title to manager. Accountant manager. Verify that open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and we have the proper information. Employee ID 5, name Nielsen, title manager of accountant. Let us do the same for employee number 6. Employee ID is now 6. The name is Michaels. And the title is supervisor. Now, this is the last document we are looking to insert. Therefore, after the curly bracket and the comma, we can then end the document by adding the closing bracket. We started with the open bracket at the top. Now we need to close it at the end. Semicolon. Now let's copy this code and paste it into the MongoDB console. But before we do this, let's verify again that everything is correct. So var my employee, and there, I already caught an error. I made an error with my code, a spelling error. So var my employee EMPL. Let me just retype this. My employee var. My employee EMPLOYEEVAR. Square brackets. And within those square brackets, we have 3 different documents. 3 different documents separated by their own curly brackets and commas. The first document belongs to employee ID 4, Lawson, clerk. The second document, employee ID 5, name Nielsen, title manager, accountant. Employee number 6, name Michaels, title supervisor. This is the last document. Therefore, we end it with the closing bracket. Copy the code, copy, and now paste everything into the MongoDB console. Hit enter. And when you hit enter, nothing will appear. This means that it was inputted successfully. Now, let us take this document that we created and let us insert it into our employees database. And to do that, all we have to do is now go to the bottom and enter this code. DB employees insert parentheses. In the parentheses, we will enter the name of the var that we created, which was my employee var. So let us try this. db.employees dot insert parentheses my employee var. Before you hit enter, verify that everything is correct. DB period, the name of the collection, which is employees, EMPLOYEES, period, insert, parentheses, and the name of the var, my employee var. I want it to be identical. It should not matter, but I want it to be exactly how I created it. So I entered the letter V as lowercase. I went ahead and changed that now to uppercase. So everything is identical. My employee var. Now hit enter. And this was inserted correctly. After you hit enter, this is what the output will look like. Now, errors, there were no errors. Write concern errors, there was none. How many pieces of information was inserted? There was 3. and everything else, there's nothing. Nothing upserted, nothing was matched, nothing was modified, nothing was removed. Now let's go ahead and look at that information in the database. DB, do you remember how to do it? DB, the name of the collections, find. DB, period, the name of the collection you're searching in, which is employees, period, find. Hit enter, and now we can see that all of the information has been entered. We first entered employee 1, 2, and 3. We inserted them one at a time. But then for employees 4, 5, and 6, we used a var, name myEmployeeVar, and then we inserted everything into the employees collection. Now let's take a look at Mongo Compass and see how has it been updated. Last we had employees 1, 2, and 3. Click refresh. And there you go. Now we have employees 4, 5, and 6. Sometimes when you click refresh, you have to go all the way back out and re-click on the name of the collection for everything to load. But there you have it. Employees 1, 2, and 3, and employees 4, 5, and 6. Now in the next video, we will continue learning how to insert information into MongoDB, except this time we will learn how to insert information into MongoDB with several documents with embedded information. For example, what if there's more information about employee number 1 we needed to add? We can embed information, therefore we can have multiple ways of adding information to a collection without going through the traditional steps that a relational database will require. For example, in a relational database, if we needed to add or change any of this information, we may need to alter the table, update the table, or even change the structure of the table. Worst case scenario, delete the table and recreate the table. This is the beauty of MongoDB. With MongoDB, we can change the information as needed and the system will accept it. But we will view this in the next video. In the next video, we will start to embed information and how to select different types of information within the system. I will see you then. Thank you.